Have you ever noticed your cat staring at something that simply isn't there? Not just a quick glance, but a deep, focused stare, like it's watching something move, something real. You look in the same direction, expecting to see at least a shadow, a reflection, anything at all, but there's nothing, and yet your cat doesn't move. Moments like this are easy to ignore. Most people brush them off, assuming cats are just strange or unpredictable animals. But if you really pay attention, these behaviors happen more often than they should. Too often to be completely random. Now here's the uncomfortable question. What if your cat isn't acting randomly at all? What if it's reacting to things that exist, just not within the limits of human perception? Cats are not just ordinary pets. Biologically, they are built to experience the world in ways we simply cannot. Their senses are sharper, faster, and in many cases, far more precise than ours. But it's not just about better vision or better hearing. It's about accessing details of reality that we completely miss. And once you understand that, their behavior starts to feel less weird and more unsettling. The first thing you need to understand is how cats see movement. Unlike humans, who rely heavily on detail and color, cats are wired to detect motion. Their eyes are specifically designed to pick up even the slightest changes in their environment. A tiny shift in air, a particle floating through light, or a nearly invisible insect crawling across a surface. These are all things your cat can instantly detect. A blank wall is just a blank wall. But to your cat, it might be full of activity. This explains why cats sometimes appear to be staring at nothing. They're not. They're tracking something extremely small, something your eyes simply aren't capable of noticing. But here's where things start to feel off. There are moments when your cat reacts the same way, and there is absolutely nothing there. No visible movement, no insects, no light reflections, nothing that can logically explain the behavior. And yet, the reaction is real. Either your cat is misfiring or is detecting something you can't even begin to perceive. Now, let's talk about sound, because this is where things get even more extreme. Humans have a limited hearing range. There are entire layers of sound happening around us that we will never hear. Cats, on the other hand, operate on a completely different level. Their ears can detect frequencies far beyond human capability. They can hear high-pitched sounds, distant vibrations, and even subtle noises caused by movement inside walls or under floors. To a cat, a quiet room is not actually quiet. It's filled with information. This is why your cat might suddenly react, turn its head sharply, or become alert for no obvious reason. It heard something very real, just not accessible to you. But again, there are moments where this explanation doesn't fully hold up. There are times when your environment is completely still. No movement, no sound, no external trigger that you can identify. And yet your cat reacts instantly, as if something just happened. This is where logic starts to struggle, because either your cat is responding to signals so subtle that we can't measure them, or there's something happening that we don't yet understand. The third layer is even more subtle: environmental sensitivity. Cats don't just rely on sight and sound. They are incredibly sensitive to changes in their surroundings. Temperature shifts, air pressure variations, and even electromagnetic fields can influence their behavior. These are things humans rarely notice. But for a cat, they are signals. This is why animals often behave strangely before natural events like storms or earthquakes. They detect changes long before humans are aware of anything. Their bodies pick up on patterns that our senses completely ignore. When your cat suddenly becomes restless, anxious, or overly alert, it might not be random at all. It might be responding to a shift in the environment that hasn't reached your awareness yet. But here's the part that people don't like to talk about. Some believe that this sensitivity goes beyond physical changes. That cats might be detecting forms of energy that science hasn't fully explained. Now, whether you believe that or not is up to you. But the fact remains, their reactions often don't match anything we can clearly observe. This brings us to one of the most debated and uncomfortable ideas: unseen presences. Many cat owners have experienced something similar. Their cat suddenly focuses on a specific area of the room. It follows something with its eyes, slowly, as if tracking movement. Sometimes it even reacts, hissing, backing away, or becoming unusually alert. And when you look, there's nothing there. Science explains this as heightened sensory input. The cat might be reacting to a sound, a reflection, or a subtle movement that you missed. But that explanation doesn't always feel complete, because sometimes the behavior is too precise, too intentional. It looks less like random stimulation and more like direct interaction. This is why, across many cultures, cats have been associated with the ability to sense things beyond the physical world. Not because of superstition alone, but because of repeated, unexplained behavior. Again, this doesn't prove anything supernatural, but it does raise a question. Why do cats consistently react to things we cannot identify? Now let's move into something more grounded: their night vision. Cats are built to see in low light conditions. Their eyes contain a special reflective layer that enhances their ability to capture even the smallest amount of light. This allows them to see clearly in situations that would be almost completely dark for a human. To a room at night might look empty and black. To your cat, it's still a visible space with depth, movement, and detail. This means your cat is constantly observing things in the dark that you will never notice. Small movements, shifting shadows, or subtle changes in the environment, all of these remain visible to them, and this alone explains a lot of their nighttime behavior. But again, not all of it, because sometimes, even in complete stillness, cats react in ways that suggest they are seeing something specific, something defined, and that's where the explanation starts to feel incomplete again. Finally, we reach the most unsettling behavior of all: the freeze response. That if you've ever seen your cat suddenly stop moving completely, you know how strange it feels. Its body becomes stiff. Its eyes widen. It locks onto something, completely focused, completely still, that there's no sound, no visible movement, no obvious reason. And yet, the reaction is intense. This is not playful behavior. It's not curiosity. It's something deeper, something instinctive. Scientists believe this could be a survival response, triggered by a sudden sensory input, something the cat interprets as important or potentially threatening. But here's the problem: that we don't always know what that trigger is. And when you can't identify the cause of a reaction, the reaction itself becomes unsettling, because it forces you to consider the possibility that something is happening just outside your ability to perceive. Oh, where does all of this leave us? On one hand, everything we've discussed has a logical explanation: enhanced senses, better hearing, superior visión, increased environmental awareness. These are all real, measurable traits that make cats incredibly perceptive animals. On the other hand, there are still gaps, moments where their behavior doesn't fully align with what we can observe or explain. And those gaps are where the mystery lives. The next time your cat stares into an empty space, reacts to nothing, or suddenly freezes without warning, don't dismiss it so quickly, because you're not seeing what it's seeing, and maybe you're not supposed to. Now think about this carefully: that everything your cat reacts to explainable through science alone? Or is there still something missing from the picture? Let me know what you think.